Hey, Sean here from SpeedCubeShop.com. There's a lot of cubes out there, but the big thing people tend to be looking for right now is a magnetic 3x3, and they want one that's not going to break the bank. So let's talk about the top budget magnetic puzzles. I decided I'm going to have only magnetic puzzles that are under $10 or right at $10 and ones that are still produced. So for example, the YJ MGC, the original one, was about $10, I believe, but they're making the MGC Elite now. So I'm going to stick to these three. So these three are the QiYi Thunderclap version 3. This is the Qilin version 2, and this is the YJ YuLong version 2. These three are about all $10. This one I believe is about $8, and it depends on where you go for this. I'll have a link in the description where you can purchase them though. So let's figure out which one would be best for you. I'm going to go through the differences in feeling as well as show some solves while I'm talking about it and some things that you might be looking for each one. So the Qilin came out first. And the one thing you'll notice with this is there are tiles. These aren't stickers, they are tiles. They're embedded in, so they're not going to chip, they're not going to peel. However, it's only available like that. You can get it in clear plastic instead of black, but then it's also not legal to use at a competition. One major note about this is it's extremely stable and smooth. Out of the box, it felt ready to go. I really didn't have to do any setup, and it was really nice feeling already and very smooth as well. I've tightened a lot of these to be a little bit tighter than out of the box, so corner cutting is about 45 degrees. It can be more with a little bit looser tensions. The next that came out was the YJ YuLong version 2. Now this is nothing like the YuLong version 1 at all. It's a little bit bigger. So this one is about 55.5 millimeters. This one is 56 millimeters. And there's a lot of tracks on the pieces. Out of the box, this one needed a lot of setup. It was very dry, and sometimes cubes work great when they're dry. This one did not. So I actually did get a lot of these to use for multi-blind. I think I have about 14 of them, maybe 12 of them. And yeah, so I'm using these for multi-blind, but every single one I had to set up with a good amount of lubrication to eliminate spring noise. It can flex quite a bit, but it has a very blocky and square feel. So this feels more like a traditional 3x3, I guess, than the new modern speed cubes. Speaking of that, the Thunderclap version 3. Now this sort of mixes between the version 2 and the original Thunderclap, but honestly it feels more like a Volk Power. It's very rounded feeling. It's 55.5 millimeters, I believe. It's definitely smaller than the YuLong, and it feels like a speed cube out of the box. Now I did have to set this one up as well, but mainly to slow it down to make it more controllable. It was insanely fast out of the box, and I just had to add lubrication to slow it down. So let's talk about each one. As far as times, you can get the same times in all three. One of them is not better than the other for times. I did about 10 solves on each one just to prepare for this video, and I started with the Thunderclap. It felt really nice. It felt like any other speed cube. Honestly, I could throw this in the mix with my Moyu WRM, my Volk Elite, my GAN X, and it would fit really well in that lineup and not feel out of place at all. I then went to the YuLong, and this one did feel a bit clunky compared to this one for the feeling, but I was actually a lot more consistent with it. So with this one, I jumped around between 12, maybe 14 seconds. Sometimes I got more from some lockups. Sometimes I sped through them. This one felt very steady and consistent with a lot of just 13s in the mix. When I picked up this one, the Qilin, it was very confusing. The borders around the pieces definitely threw my sight off. However, I had so many really good times on this. Ones that were better than both of these. I believe my average was best with this one, but then again, that's just 10 solves. So I'm not saying that it's better because of those times. But even though it felt really odd looking at these pieces, it was really nice to solve and really good times with it. So if we're talking about performance out of the box, this one, the Qilin, worked the best out of the box. If you have lubrication, you don't mind setting up cubes, the YuLong is nice to have, but depending on what lubrication you have, you'll probably need to slow down the Thunderclap version 3. So if you have lubrication, these two are good. If you don't, the Qilin would be a nice one to purchase on its own. If you want something that is more stable and controllable, I would avoid the Thunderclap and go for these two, either the Qilin or the YuLong version 2. But if you want something that feels like a top tier speed cube, something that you could spend $40 on but only want to spend $10, then the Thunderclap is the way to go. This one definitely feels like a modern SpeedCube. It has a lot of things reminiscent of the Valk, especially these cone springs, which the Valk had, and just the feeling in general. Really, the pieces are similar, however, the corner is a little bit more rounded than the Valk pieces are. So I used the YuLong for multi-blind because it was slightly cheaper and easier for me to get a bunch of them. If I was to go to a competition, it'd probably be between these two if I want something more stable or more flexible. I definitely would want to practice with this one to get used to that look, but once you're used to it, it seems to be perfectly fine. And it really depends if I want something that is flexible or is more stable. So we went over what's best out of the box if you don't have any lubrication, what's best if you want something that's more stable, what's best if you want something that is more like a modern SpeedCube. They all have very similar designs, none of them have adjustable magnets, and really if you, let's say, have about $30 to spend, you could get each of these, and then you have 3 different puzzles, 3 different feelings, and you can pick which one you like the best, and then you have some extras as well, or you can gift other ones away. So thank you very much. If you have any thoughts or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and as always, stop by SpeedCubeShop.com for more news and reviews.